All right, so let's talk about the timeline of you getting accepted to JET and you actually coming out here to Tokyo and you starting JET here in Tokyo.
So, as far as, let's say that you've just had your interview, you're going to be waiting on your email, and you should be getting your email saying whether you were accepted into the program at the end of April, right? April, May.
Yep.
And that's going to say, congratulations, you got Tokyo. And it's either going to say underneath it the name of a school, in which case that means that you're a private school JET, like ACE.
Private.
If it says like Tokyo and then underneath it says Tokyo again, then you're a public school JET, like me. Woo! And that means that you don't know what school you're going to be placed at yet. After they get all of the names of the people, then they match us to our schools. And so you won't hear from your school until, like, telling you what school you're at until, like, I'm sorry, like June, July, like 3 weeks before you go to, like, your airport to leave, kind of a thing. Right away, if you get Tokyo, start thinking about the broad picture of what you want as for an apartment, the basic, check boxes, but you're not going to be able to look at an area until right before you ship out. And that's when you're going to get the email from your real estate agent that you've been paired to as well. If you choose to use them or not, that's your own decision and a whole other ball of wax. And then once you arrive in Tokyo, like you'll have the big Tokyo orientation with everyone else gets shipped off, and then temporary housing, like temporary apartments.
Yeah.
Yeah. Public school JETs go to an extended orientation during which you will spend part of it at a homestay and part of it like finding your apartment. And during that, I think it's like a week and a half of extra orientation, you'll be, getting your cell phones, setting up your banks, doing all of that stuff in that first couple weeks.
For private school JETs, they find your area that you are going to be staying in. If you're in West Tokyo, you're going to be in Tachikawa. If you're in like East Tokyo, you're going to be, I think somewhere near like Asakusa or like another area. They will put you in either a hotel or a building that has multiple apartments that have vacancies in them, for you to stay for about 2 weeks.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, so they pay for it for 2 weeks, but they really want you out of there after like a week or so. In my situation, I was put up in a apartment building that was about maybe 25 minutes away from my school and maybe about like 20 minutes away from my house. So I could have walked there, but I took the train during those first 2 weeks. The person who I came with while I was upgraded for Tokyo, he also got a apartment building that was closer to his area as well. And he stayed there for like 2 weeks or so, maybe like a week and a half. And then it really depends on how active your school is in accommodating you and helping you find your apartment. They do know that there is a company for all the private school JETs to find apartments there. You can also have your supervisor, depending on how proactive your supervisor is in helping you with that transition. But you also have to kind of understand that it is also, at the time that you come to Japan, like normally, you are in a very bad time where teachers are on their vacations or really wrapping up everything so that they can go on vacation. It's a very, very busy time, or it's just a very dead time. So you're in this like really weird limbo
It's also
period.
Obon.
Yes, which is like a really, really big holiday here in
holiday.
Japan, where people go home to visit their families as well as their like ancestors.
Yeah.
So the idea of you staying in a temporary apartment, don't get used to it. My co-jet, he was in a hotel. He was there for about like a week or so, and so then he moved into his apartment. Yeah, let's talk about co-jets.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah.
What's the difference, Ace, between a private school jet and a public school jet?
Okay, so the biggest difference between private school and public school is that, one, public school jets have to answer to the Tokyo Metropolitan
Board of Education.
Which is in Shinjuku.
Shinjuku, yeah.
And so there's this whole community wrapped around that, and so their Board of Education is there in Tokyo. Whereas private school jets, our board of education is our particular school. So as a Tokyo jet, you only get one school that you work for. So it's not like you're traveling around to different areas in your little mini K car. No, it's not like that at all. You get one school that you have to focus on. There's some awesome benefits to that, and then there's some like other things that are not so great about it. But overall, it's a pretty sweet deal to only have one school.
Yeah.
Private school jets, lots of private schools have two jets because the private school has both a middle school and a high school, as well as the money to pay for it. Whereas the public schools, unless you were in like the top 10?
Yeah, the global 10. It's not the top 10, it's the global 10.
What is the global 10 for people who do not understand?
So the global 10 are the 10 schools in Tokyo that really focus on English education and like international education. They have a lot of international students. They'll have classes that aren't English classes, but that are taught in English and things like that. And then the top 10 schools are just like the academic top 10, which is different, but some of them overlap.
Okay, and why do they get two Tokyo jets?
Because they focus on English education.
Yeah.
It looks fancy.
Yeah. Let's talk about our gripes about being Tokyo jets.
What's your gripe? I don't know if I have one.
I think the hard part about being a Tokyo jet is not actually the job itself, because at least at my school, I'm really wanted and I'm valued. In some other situations, jet has kind of been like shoved down their throat as a political measure. So everywhere else in the JET program, schools have volunteered to have ALTs. And they've had ALTs for years. For like decades. Almost 30 years,
yeah. So they're up for it. They're good. If you go to if you're assigned to other areas on the JET program, you have tons of support. But in Tokyo,
as well as those schools know how to deal with jets.
Yeah, exactly.
And like have experience of like good jets, bad jets, people who dealt with jets before. There's an ancestry to your position.
Yeah.
Whereas here in Tokyo, at least now, as of 2017, the past like 2 or 3 years, there really hasn't been a history of jets here in Tokyo.
We've been assigned to every public school, but the private schools, they volunteer.
Private schools volunteer.
But public school jets are assigned by the government.
Right.
So that was interesting.
Using public funds, right?
Yeah, it's part of the, we don't get into that.
Whereas,
it's budgeted.
Yeah, private school, it's just like, oh, hey, we get these free government-paid ALTs. Yeah, why not? Let's do it.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And so they pay a small portion of, like, taxes and other things, but they're paying pennies on the dollar for a jet rather than hiring, like, a privately hired ALT. I'm not sure if that's the same case for you guys. So, yeah, that's a really big difference in the way that your school will actually approach you and treat you. It's
also a different way of how you should handle yourself on the JET program in Tokyo. Because you really have to show that you are worth having. Yeah. Because if not, you're really bringing down the public appearance of the JET program. Like, you have so much responsibility as a Tokyo jet to be as good of an ALT as you possibly can be. Because otherwise you have been thrust upon their school, like, against their will. And
right.
That's not going to go over very well.
Especially with private school jets, private schools will, choose to not participate in the jet program anymore based upon the behavior of that particular ALT. There have been scandals here in Tokyo. We're not going to go into that, but not only should you represent your country, obviously being a jet anywhere here in Japan, but you're kind of a pioneer at your school. You may, if you have been chosen as an ALT in Tokyo, you may have had maybe one predecessor before you, two predecessors before you, as of 2017.
Yeah.
But you're there to really,
plug this program.
Yeah, plug this program. Make sure that the people who come after you understand, and the students who will be there long after you will be there, understand that JET is a reputable program and that these ALTs can really take care of themselves and teach really well, as well as
have value.
Bring good things about their culture to their students. Make sure that the students do not have a negative opinion about your country, about your home country. All of those things are really, really important, and there's a lot more pressure here in Tokyo as a jet, especially in the first couple of years.
Yeah.
So, what else do you feel like you don't really like?
I don't like?
Yeah, about being a jet here in Tokyo. There's another really big one for me. It doesn't have to do with the job. For me, that's I guess that's the trade-off of me living 5 minutes away from my school is, if I wanted to go somewhere that I, to hang out with a friend, and it's, obviously it's not next to my school and I have to take the train, I have to pay for that every single time. And transportation here in Tokyo is not cheap at all. It's it's based upon distance, and it's a lot of money. So that definitely eats away at my finances, but I guess at the same time as well, I'm not spending money on parking. We're spending money on gas or toll fees.
How much do you budget for transportation a month?
I would say, depending on how social that I want to be that month, there are places where I have to go every week, along with just hanging out with friends. I could say maybe about $100 US a month on transportation.
That sounds about right. I would spend about $50 US on top of my take again.
Right, but then you also live closer to the city as well.
Yeah. Right. So I mean, I think yours is probably a good estimate. Right,
and for me, I live outside of the city limits of the inner city. And so it costs a little bit more for me to get into the inner city and to other areas that I want to go to that are, cool and poppin'. So
cool and poppin'.
Cool and poppin'.
That's what they say in New York.
Yes. So that's what's hot on those streets.
Sure.
So there's a lot of money that I spend to get from point A to point B, and that may be the same case for you as well.
Yeah.
What up, Internet? Thank you for checking out my video. If you want to see some more videos on the T-Jet series, click here. If you want to see a couple more videos about my life here in Japan, as well as my bucket list and some of the other cool things, check out my videos over here. I hope to see you subscribe and link and comment my videos in the future. And I hope to see you again. Bye.